You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for a weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, President of Wirepoint, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. BLM Brandon has put Chicago in the national news again because at a confab at a Southside church over the weekend, he's working on marketing the regime's successes. And what he is doing for black residents of Chicago is a lot.
Yeah.
And the reason he's doing a lot for black residents of Chicago is because they're special people.
Well, they're generous.
Do we have that clip?
The mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else. We are the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? That's just how we are. And so business and economic neighborhood development, the deputy mayor is a black woman. Department of Planning and Development, it's a black woman.
Yeah, and so on and so forth. But it was more, to talking about all the black men and women that are in positions of importance in the administration. Well, that's all well and good. It was more this idea that somehow black residents are just sort of a special people.
Aren't we all special in God's minds? We have play cousins too, and fake aunts. Our mom's best friends are our aunts.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, are black men in prison for violent crime? Are they generous, Mayor, Mr. Mayor? I mean, just it's just so ham-handed, his identitarianism, which is why he's drawn the attention of the Department of Justice, Harmeet Dillon, and the Office of Civil Rights, sending a missive to City Hall saying, yeah, you're talking about basically hiring based on race, handing out contracts based on race. That's a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, so we need to chat. And, of course, BLM Brandon denies that. It's just imprecise rhetoric, I'm sure. That's what you chalk it up to. Again, that's what we've done in the city of Chicago. Tribalism as long as I've been alive, and a lot longer than that. So I don't, I'm not offended by it. I'm certainly not surprised by it. I mean, I'm offended by it like I'm offended by any of this tribalism, but I'm not uniquely offended by Brandon Johnson's version of it because it's just a different cohort that's being served at the expense of other cohorts, just like the Irish did, as far as I'm concerned. But, maybe because people are seemingly more upset about his version of tribalism than other past versions of tribalism, maybe at some point we can have a conversation about tribalism generally and, the patronage that it begets. Because, this just in, it's never exactly been a meritocracy in Chicago or Illinois. So let's not delude ourselves either and comfort ourselves by piling on Brandon Johnson like it was, or Lori Lightfoot, like it was all on the level before these two knuckleheads came along. Hardly, was it? Ted Dabrowski joins us now. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Amy. You make a great point, Dan. Yeah, I mean, it's we're all complaining about what he's done, but it's been some form of take care of your own for a long time. I think what's interesting about this one, though, and here's what's different. I'm not sure Daley would ever say anything like that out loud.
Exactly.
This guy is just willing to say whatever the hell he wants, whenever he wants, and it's so extreme. It's so extreme, and you listen to it and you go, "Is he really saying that out loud?"
Right.
And that's just, and then what's amazing is how quickly the federal government acted on that. I thought it was a meme or something when I saw that response from the federal government, but
Really?
they acted quickly.
Well, they're looking to tee up these sanctuary cities, these big cities, and if Chicago residents, more of them, were a little bit more enlightened, they might actually appreciate that the federal government cares more about their cities than they do, because their cities, like Chicago, disintegrating right before their very eyes, and the federal government, Trump, his people, trying to step in and say, you can't do this. You're destroying your city. You're destroying the quality of life for the law-abiding residents. They're actually trying to help, but Chicago just refuses the assistance.
Well, this is the hard part too, because I always argue, I want Chicago to fix itself. It's the Chicago voters who vote for whatever they get.
Yeah.
We can't say, hey, Trump, please come help us, please save us. So what I did right, when Johnson took office, or when he won the election, I should say, I wrote a piece that said, what has Chicago done? And the one thing that I think is curious, and we're going to see where this goes, is I said the silver lining in all this, and it's turning out to be true, is that a few years under Johnson, quote, a few years under Johnson may finally push the center left in Chicago to finally give a reformer the support of 50% plus one. Let's see if this stuff starts to matter, because it's so extreme and so perverse what he says that you've got to think that there's a chance for somebody to take over. The question will just be who and what.
Yeah, well, Ted, in his defense, Mayor Johnson fired off a colored pie chart that says it illustrated his diverse hirings, saying, 34% are black, 24% Hispanic, 30% are white, and the rest are Asian or other. And he used that time to slam Trump, saying his administration doesn't reflect such diversity.
Yeah, he'll be good at it. I think the question is going to be just, how many of those hires were already there? I think it's going to be a question of how many hires, those direct reports that he has. What's been the process for hiring people?
The process is the point. I mean, that's the basis of it. It doesn't even all this like counting by, the whole thing is counting by race is idiotic. That's the whole thing about it. That's what we should be arguing here, rather than arguing about was that black person for this job favored over a honky or Latino just because they're black? Just stop with all of it. I mean, that's the whole point. That's the anti-DEI philosophy. Just stop with all of it, and do it like the CSO hires musicians. But we're a long way from there. But maybe not the conversation. The problem is, as I've been saying, is that what you're going to get is somebody that does the middle way, that goes back to the daily or tiny dancer approach, which is where you tell the beautiful lies that people expect to hear. You don't put it between their eyes in a way that makes it uncomfortable, such that people have to deal with it. This is what Lightfoot made a mistake. This is what Brandon Johnson is doing, is making a mistake. It's not that the underlying policies are necessarily unpopular. That's the problem. It's just that the way they're talking about them strips away the veneer that people use to rationalize their participation in barbarism in the city.
Well, I mean, that goes to a little bit of the Wirepoint's obsession with data. Let the data tell the story, because we get all the lies all the time from politicians. I don't care what side they're on, what color they are. It's just continuous, especially in Illinois. And so the one thing that tries not to lie is some of the data. And when you look at the data, and we talked about it the other day, when Brandon Johnson can say all he wants about how he's preferencing the blacks, and you've had blacks run Chicago, a big chunk of it, Lori Lightfoot and Preckwinkle and others. But when you look at the underlying data for blacks itself, it is the most sad, horrible outcomes for blacks compared to other big cities. It's just massive failure inside and out, and so he can say whatever the hell he wants, but the data shows that he's not helpful for his own people.
Getting outside Chicago, we spent so much time talking about Chicago. We should take judicial notice that all of the metropolitan areas are decaying. Let's give everybody their due. You just looked at metro areas in Chicago, and actually, in economic growth, the Bloomington metro area, the worst economic growth in the nation since 2019?
Yeah, this stuff just keeps on giving. We're always. I met an owner of a big business, and he was telling me that he just refuses to invest any more money in Illinois. He's not leaving, but he said all of his expansions are occurring in the South and in the Midwest. And I saw a map on his wall, and I saw where all the dots of all the expansions are going, and nothing in Illinois. and it triggered me to look at just how all these different metro areas are doing, because the government reports on this, federal government. There's 384 metro areas in the country, and Bloomington was dead last at 384, shrinking down 17%. And we did this over the time period that Governor Pritzker's taken office since 2019. So it's an indictment of what's happening that continues to happen under him. Rockford was pretty close to the bottom as well, and so is Danville, and so is Peoria. I mean, these are our cities, our old manufacturing, successful, middle-class, working-class cities being destroyed.
Well, I mean, Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, which you would think would be it obviously is the wealthiest metro of the state. But in terms of growth from 2019 to 2023, 268 out of 384. That's not exactly killing it. But I mean, negative growth, as you said, in Bloomington, negative growth in Rockford, anemic growth, well below the compounded inflation rate over the last 4 years in Danville, Peoria, Carbondale, Marion, Springfield, Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, probably Decatur too, and then the top two are Champaign-Urbana metro area and Kankakee, 163 and 91 respectively. But I mean, this just in, Champaign-Urbana and Kankakee aren't going to be able to carry this state.
No, that's for sure. And, in Chicago, our economic engine, when you talk about this is adjusted for inflation. So over the last 5 years, it's only had a growth of 4% total. So, maybe 1% a year. So,
that is adjusted for inflation, those numbers. Okay.
Yes, adjusted for inflation. Yeah. And so it's, for Chicago, the metro area, it's the worst of the 15 largest metro areas in the country. So, you got a place like Phoenix growing 5 times the amount, Miami 4 times. And so you're just talking about, success and thriving economies and people making more money and having more jobs. And you compare that to our struggling metro areas. It's ripe for massive reform and massive change. And it's depressing, but the opportunity is there to pick it up.
I also saw this post about school choice. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the program when we were celebrating the re-election of Stacey Davis Gates as CTU president.
Excellent.
Yeah. The school choice, not in Illinois, of course not, but maybe coming to Illinois sort of like full gun rights did because of federal action.
Yeah, so there's a big wave of school choice across the country in red states, and it's a really big wave. And you're seeing it, in Iowa, in Indiana, full school choice. Anybody who wants access can get it, but not in Illinois, not in California, not in New York, and a few other blue states. And so Trump and team are saying, hey, if they don't want to do it, let's just do it at the federal level. And they want to offer a $5 billion. So this is a national program, $5 billion tax credit scholarship program that would be doled out to all the different states, and that would immediately give Illinois school choice, maybe for some 50,000 students, maybe more. And it would be a way to kickstart school choice. If the Illinois legislators won't pass it, then the federal government will.
Yeah, well, that would be nice. So as you said, you hope and you would wish that Chicago would solve its own problems, Illinois would solve its own problems, the two collectively. But sometimes you need outside assistance, whether it's wanted or not. It certainly would be wanted by some of the residents of Illinois who are trapped here. And we'll keep an eye on that. Ted Dabrowski, President of Wirepoint, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Have a good day.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
At almostfreeteeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could